There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people. See if they could become something more.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
This is the Marvel Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Marvel Tribe. We are a group of excited and passionate individuals who have come together to share our love of all things Marvel. We are brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.com. From the big screen to the small print, feel the pulse in your chest so you know you're alive. One team, one love. What is it, David?
It's the Marvel Tribe.
Marvel Tribe. So it's just David and I from the tribe tonight. Everybody else is a little busy, but we're still going to have a great show. We're joined by a special guest from the Mutant Ages podcast, Ryan Pagella. Ryan, how are you?
Good. How are you? I feel like I'm just expanding into the multiverse here because I've started off in Disology twice now with Maddie in the first one, branched off on my own. Here I am appearing on Marvel Tribe, still representing the Mutant Ages.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about something that I know is near and dear to your heart, Ryan. Obviously, the Mutant Ages is your X-Men podcast. So do you want to tell us about the Mutant Ages?
Yeah, sure. So for anybody that's new listening, the Mutant Ages is an X-Men podcast where we review every adaptation of the X-Men. So whether it be a movie, TV show, book, we've done commercials. That's been fun. We're playing through every X-Men game that's ever been released, and we put that up on our YouTube. And we basically break down the politics of the X-Men, but largely the queer coding and the LGBTQ representations in the symbology of the X-Men on our show. And it also gets a little hot and steamy in there. So you may be listening to this as a rated G podcast right now, but if you go over to ours is definitely in the rated R category. So get ready for that if you hop on over there. It's a lot of fun, and we've been kind of breaking down X-Men the animated series. We've done a few of the movies, and right now we're on season 3 of X-Men Evolution, which is my favorite of all the X-Men shows. Although I do love X-Men the animated series. I grew up on that. They're very different shows, so I enjoy them a lot. I'm a big X-Men fan. I've been obsessed with the X-Men for my entire life. Everybody has that one or two things that they're obsessed with, and X-Men is my number one, baby. So there it is.
You also have some other projects. Do you want to talk about those before we move on?
Yeah, sure. I guess if we're popping in and promoting them, yeah, I do a little bit of everything. So that is my main jam. My other thing I do is I have a YouTube channel that's dedicated to adventure and theme parks. And so I have a big, not big, but I've been bouncing around New England a lot and down to New Jersey and hitting up all the Six Flags and local theme parks, especially since the mandates and the restrictions have lifted in the past year. So I've been able to go do those things. I go to museums. I do like kayaking and stuff on there. But when you go there, I would say I release 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And when you go, you're going to mostly find roller coaster footage and me running around a theme park. And then on an odd Friday, they're like, today we're going to the Museum of Science. So, but it's all about kind of living your best life and not living in any fear, and just kind of enjoying everything that life gives you. Plus I'm a big Disney guy. I grew up on Disney, obviously. And, I want everything to look as good as Disney World. So anytime I can experience that magic anywhere else, I go for it basically. So yeah, those are my two big jams.
Ryan is always posting very happy content. I love seeing your posts. So we'll talk about where we can find you before we let you go today. Okay, sure. Before we get to all of that social media, I want to talk about a different social media. We saw that you had a video go viral on TikTok.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. I love this story. Okay, so first of all, I'm learning the algorithms of TikTok right now. For I know they just listed all these things that I do, but full time I do marketing. So I'm trying to figure out the social media aspect of TikTok, because I find TikTok to be a very brilliant resource for people to get their work out there if you can make it hit the right algorithm and go viral. And that's not the first time something has gone viral on the Mutant Ages TikTok. We have a couple of them have been 70K views, but they're very different kinds of things. They all pertain to the X-Men. So sometimes we match up our clips from us talking on the podcast to the animation of the shows. So a couple of those went viral before. And then around the time WandaVision dropped, I just like straight up put clips from the old Avengers cartoon from the 90s. I'm like, this is Agatha Harkness. Here she is. And I was like,
I loved those.
Evolution. Yeah. So, but more recently, everyone's been talking about Loki because it stirred up a whole bunch of people's theories. And so a lot of TikToks were going up about people's theories on what was happening during Loki. My favorite one is the one that involves if you put WandaVision, the last episode of WandaVision alongside the last episode of Loki, it actually lines up and
syncs up. Yeah,
it's got to be intentional. The people over at the MCU are very, very smart.
Yes,
and they're very good with marketing and very subtle at the same time. So that was what I was doing. I was like, okay, so when I'm sorry, I'm giving away the end of this other TV show. Okay, so Falcon and Winter Soldier. I want to spoil the ending there, although I suppose everybody's already seen it.
Everyone should have. At least our fans have
Captain
watched
America
it.
and the Winter Soldier, not to be confused with the other Captain America movie with the same name.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was towards the beginning of that and sort of throughout the whole show, there was a lot of hinting at possible mutants. And a big thing that both what Maddie, my co-host, and I break down on the Mutant Ages is we talk about the MCU a lot because we're dying to see some X-Men in the MCU. We're like on the edge of our seat because Fox did not treat our X-Men very well. There were a few good things they did, but for the most part, they did it wrong. And like, I don't know how they managed to produce over 10 X-Men films that all managed to be like horribly inaccurate. So we're like, oh my God, we want to make this happen. Like we've been following along from beginning before like Disney acquired Fox. And like, is Disney going to acquire Fox? And so now we're just sitting here waiting and theorizing when they're going to enter the MCU. And before I jump into the TikTok, I will say that, ever since Endgame happened, I definitely feel like everything that they are doing in the MCU, while it does work up to a greater strategy to include the greater Marvel universe, they are absolutely creating a atmosphere that would put characters such as the X-Men and other mutants into like sort of a marginalized class. Which
cough, Namor.
Yeah, well, I know. Namor better be in there. I saw say Namora also. But
Namora, yeah.
Yeah, and so, obviously during WandaVision, everyone's screaming, is Wanda going to be revealed as the first mutant? Is Magneto going to show up? None of that happened just because there just was not enough time for them to drop all those plot points. And I do truly believe they will go down the route of Wanda having Magneto as her father. Is whatever version they pick, I think that's what they're going to do because it's such a classic storyline. And so people have been dropping theories like that. And during Falcon and Winter Soldier, there was like a theory going on that Mystique was somehow involved in that show, and we really thought that she was going to be revealed at some point in there. And so there were a few theories that are bouncing around. The biggest tip off was when they had this like fake Madripoor website that Marvel released, and MCU they like released it and like had references to like Dakin and Shang-Chi. Obviously Shang-Chi is getting, or Shang-Chi, sorry. I'm bad with that. I'm trying to get the right pronunciation. So Shang-Chi is coming out, and I was like, okay, so they are obviously promoting things that are coming up. And then it says some random stuff about how Mystique had a lot of power or whatever within Madripoor. And then some fans found it, quickly erased it. Or sorry, they didn't erase it. Marvel quickly erased it. And that was the end of that. And so it spun a lot of theories where people were like, oh, is Mystique in this? And is she Sharon Carter? So I went back and created this TikTok that basically broke down. I even put all the stuff in there that like I wanted to put in there because TikTok at this point only lets me do 3 minutes. And the fact that many people watched the end of the 3-minute TikTok is really honestly impressive. But I put everything that I could within that time range that I wanted to, with taking actual clips and filming like where my evidence was that Sharon Carter could in fact be Mystique. And that TikTok's out there. I'm sitting there trying to learn algorithms, so I'm just posting stuff to like go with what trends and just also sort of like our own personal stuff. Leave it there. Switch back into my own TikTok account where I put all my theme park stuff. Like, don't check in on it for a week. And then, so I post daily for the Mutant Ages on our social media, like general social media. And I'm like, I will Google in the news. I'm like, okay, like, let's see what's going on, see if there's any X-Men headlines that I want to make sure I emphasize on our social media feed. And then I saw like the Sharon Carter's Mystique thing. And I was like, oh, this theory is back around. It's on Inverse. Let's go see what they're saying about it. And they were like, according to the Mutant Ages. I was like, wait a second. So then I had to go into the Mutant Ages TikTok, and I was like, oh, this went viral. And I was absolutely not paying attention to this.
That was kind of how it happened in our chat. Someone had shared it in our Marvel Tribe chat. And I was like, that's my friend Ryan. I know him.
It was okay. It was legitimately 2 days after we recorded that Disology podcast on Luca.
Yeah.
She's like, you want to come talk about this? I was like, yeah, sure. I'm going to become an honorary member of like all your podcasts at this point.
Okay.
But yeah.
You can.
Yeah, there's
that is
so
the story of the TikTok. But
there's so many people who want that to be true. I mean, it's, and I love it. I love the way you put I mean, we're gonna obviously play it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll play it right now.
Okay. So since we are throwing all of our theories about the MCU into the pool right now about what's going on between WandaVision and also Loki, let's just backtrack a little bit to Falcon and Winter Soldier. So when the MCU dropped their Madripoor website for the TV show, they had references to X-Men characters including Daken Krakoa and most noticeably Mystique. These references were pointed out by the fans, and both Marvel and Disney removed them almost immediately off the website. This sparked fans to look into Falcon and Winter Soldier a little bit more closely and took a look at Sharon Carter, who was a very, very different character. So let's go in there and take a look, shall we? Real quick, as a reference to the Princess Bar, which is the bar that Wolverine spent a lot of time at. As Sam and Bucky are entering the club, there is a big shot over here that says the Power Broker is watching, and then the next shot are all these skulls. Mystique has always sported the same gold skulls in all of her outfits. When they are having their conversation with Selby, Selby is killed on the spot. Seconds later, a bounty goes on their head. It's only moments later that Sharon Carter comes to their rescue in an alleyway. The only person who could have shot Selby would have been in the room with Selby. So how did Sharon Carter know where to go and find them instantly outside unless it was Mystique posing as somebody in Selby's office and then turned into Sharon outside? Now, while Sharon Carter is a fantastic fighter, I don't remember fighting like this. Sharon is fighting this dude, which he uses as a human shield to get shot in the face, goes over to this other dude in a second, where there he is, stabs him, then takes the gun and shoots him point blank in the face. Seems like somebody else we know that handles guns in the same way. Then, as Sam and Bucky leaves, Sharon says that they have another problem, which we never find out what that is. Scoot over to episode 5, and Sharon is on the phone with someone, and she is doused in blue light. Mystique is also all blue. And in this, she's clearly in control and doing some evil, shady shit. As Carly is in her final battle, she's following the whistle of her friend, only to find out.
David, is that you?
Oh.
Carly.
Also, shout out to this speech, which is something Mystique would totally say to manipulate characters like Rogue.
You know, when you came to Madripoor, you reminded me of a young me. I took you in, gave you an opportunity, and you betrayed me.
Then Batroc has this really interesting line. When she is reinstated by the government, she basically does a Mystique walk. At the end, Sharon makes a mystery phone call saying that she has access to all sorts of military-grade weapons, which is exactly the kind of thing Mystique would want. Is Sharon Carter Mystique? I sure hope so. So since we were throwing...
Okay.
There it is. That's it. That's not even all the facts I could fit in there. I just went with that.
Yeah, no, I believe that the last episode of Falcon, or when we were recording for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was like, what if she's Mystique? What if Sharon Carter's Mystique? And then we were like, no, probably not. And then as you gave more information, like I was like, nope. Because I picked up on the blue lights. Like she's always being washed over in blue lights.
She's
and I was
wearing a lot of blue in this TV show. Like there was a lot of blue. One of my other friends pointed out that she also wears a lot of like gold accents in this. So I really want to believe that this is true. I don't want to believe this is a very clever way that they're actually pulling this off. Like I really, really want to believe that. I don't know if it's true. Well, there's been some other theories that people have responded to on that TikTok where then like, maybe it's a scroll. Maybe it's Sharon controlled by Hydra like happens in the comic books. I mean, I know Secret Invasion is going to be coming up, so it is possible it could be a scroll.
We've talked about that theory as well.
We did. And I mean, I think our big number one when it comes to introducing the X-Men, we think we'll get a confirmation on the big screen. But it will, I believe, just like with the Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, how we have a glimmer of reference in the original Iron Man of just the Ten Rings, who that they kidnapped Tony Stark and put him in the cave. We're gonna get a whatever that reveal is in the cinematic universe. It's gonna probably give a nod or some absolute proof that this ties back to some of the early Marvel properties, including here. I mean, this is all canon to obviously the Marvel universe. It came out, they said it. I can't tell you how much I love this theory. I've gone to debate back and forth over this, between the scroll, because they're setting the stage for the scroll and the Empire and everything, and it just makes sense. But I reference this TikTok a lot, and it really is a nice way to kind of set things up, but not yet introduce things. Because, right when these concepts were coming around, the Fox, the Disney acquisition of Fox and stuff was, the ink was still drying off of the deal and stuff. So, I'm sure, but Kevin Feige, who worked for both, he started out with, the X-Men and over at Fox, and he came over quickly when Marvel Studios got took over by Disney and just ran with it. So I know he's a schemer and he's a plotter, and he managed to weave things through and give those really cool like points. And I think he has I call us a senior audience, because we're used to it. We're used to look for those clues, where before we're like, oh my God, I need to go back and look. Wait, they did what?
We don't even like, this is like a new experience with like the MCU. Honestly, there's never been like a series of movies that we're looking for clues.
Yeah.
Like in a series of different movies and TV shows that are all connected with each other. Like this hasn't happened before. So it's kind of even hard to gauge how it will be done. And they're geniuses over there. They're marketing geniuses.
Yes. So I agree. I love this theory. It is amazing. So I battled and used you as reference, for this. Yes, absolutely.
I'm so happy that one of my crazy X-Men theories that I've been spewing since like, I don't know, 6th grade made it into a news headline. I'm like, there's Crazy Ryan making an X-Men headline right now. So like that was pretty fun.
You made it.
Yeah, I know. You never know what's going to make it big. Apparently it's me talking about Mystique. I do think that whatever they do, because we theorize about a lot of this on the Mutant Ages, that there's many ways they can introduce the X-Men. I think the most common theory is that they've been there all along and in hiding. And in watching X-Men Evolution right now, the way that TV show operates, it could absolutely operate in the MCU, because it's straight up like they just are not revealing themselves because they're afraid of what would happen to people with superpowers. Obviously, this after the setting of Civil War and MCU. Why would people with superpowers like want to come out? Like Jessica Jones had no interest in sharing that, and neither did Luke Cage, right? So like, why would anybody else? But I think legitimately, I do think the Mystique theory would line up best of all the ways they could introduce any character. I know a lot of people want Storm to come in through Black Panther, and maybe she will, maybe she won't. As after everything that Black Panther has gone through in the past year, with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, like I feel like they're not gonna. I don't think the MCU would just like be like, oh, here's Storm. She's just gonna show up and be in the back. I would not be surprised if Storm, who is like Marvel's other, like, she's huge. So she's just as big as Black Panther, and we no longer have Black Panther, so they're gonna shift that focus over to Storm and really give her as like.
Well, I mean, she could be Namor's girlfriend.
I don't know. I don't
she
know.
can't.
I mean, like
She was in the comics, though.
So
here's the thing. Storm. I agree 100% with Ryan. So Storm is a omega level mutant to just take it would take away from whatever's happening in Black Panther 2 and stuff. Because they're doing their damnedest to really deal with the passing of Chadwick and what's that going to unfold. Adding introducing an X-Men, which would be the, as far as I'm concerned, the first big introduction, and then an X-Men of this magnitude, it would take away from whatever the story they're trying to serve, the continuity they're trying to build with Black Panther and stuff. So
I agree, and I, as a Storm fan, I really want her as a Black woman to really have her, like, I want her to really stand out, not within just the X-Men. I want her to have her own like show or movie, and she deserves one.
Absolutely.
If we're gonna, like, clearly Black Panther worked, so would Storm, and like those are Marvel's two properties that for the Black community they got. And Blade, we got Blade, and that is also happening. But I wouldn't want them to take away from that. So while I would love to see Storm there, I feel like Storm is not the character they would choose to start with. I think Mystique's a good segue because for, I don't know, how many years have we been making these movies and we're just still clamoring for the Rogue versus Carol Danvers fight? And like
that started by the fanboys go a little crazy with that stuff.
I know. So but it's probably going to happen, right? And like now that we have both those properties in the same place and we have Captain Marvel, and if Sharon Carter is truly Mystique, I mean, this sets it up perfectly. If she's like, Mystique has infiltrated the government to, like, it could be her ultimate goal to get to Carol Danvers. I don't know. Like, that whole situation where Rogue gets Carol Danvers' powers is because Mystique forces her to do it, right? So, like, it's not like Rogue seeking that out on her own. So I actually think the way that they would do any kind of segue to the X-Men is through Mystique and Rogue, because it's like the most obvious link besides Wolverine, who apparently just knows everyone because he's been around for like hundreds of years. So he's like, oh yeah, I also know Captain America and his dad.
Absolutely. Well, and same with Mystique. She's been around for. Most people don't know that she's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
I mean, but Fox managed to royally mess that up too. So thanks, Fox.
I know. Thanks, Fox. I do love Hugh Jackman. He did wonderful.
Yes.
He's too tall. But he really took to that role. He put his 100% into it. So, but I do want a very short Wolverine next. Like, please let's not mess this up a second time in a row.
For me, I mean, I get representation and I get comic book accuracy and everything. I just really want a good Wolverine. I would, if the good Wolverine comes in the form of a 6'1" person who can just drop the hammer and stuff and play that role and do what Hugh Jackman did for the character justice and stuff, then I'm for it. But it would be kind of cool. I mean, I'm only saying this because I don't have access to casting as far as the actors out there today that I could see. People keep floating around Harry Potter, because he's the right height. I would hate that. I'm sorry. I'm
with you on that. I don't know what's this fascination with. I don't remember what his name is.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Thank you. I just call him Harry Potter.
He'll always be Harry Potter.
Yeah. It's like that time where like he was in that show where he was naked with a horse, and everyone's like, "It's Harry Potter with a horse," and I was like, "What's his name?"
He was naked.
That's all that anybody cared about.
Right? Harry Potter needs to put his clothes back on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of theories on who people would like to see play these characters. Obviously, if we have somebody play Mystique, it won't be the same actress playing Sharon Carter. But the setup is there. I mean, like, there's even some parts I didn't mention that at TikTok. I mean, like, obviously, we've established in the MCU that people can change their appearance with these like weird like technology. They then change their face. And she does that. Like, Sharon Carter literally does this on the show and then follows up with like running around and doing all these different voices and stuff. And I'm like, well, where's the voice modulator? Like, where is she, or is she pretending to take off her face and doing that kind of stuff? I don't know why she's doing all this. Why is Sharon Carter there disguised as a man? Is she like really trying to hide from the U.S. government? And then like that didn't make any kind of sense to me, by the way. She was like, I'm hiding from the U.S. government, so I'm going to go in the middle of like all this security and government officials and take off my face. And I was like, this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's like opportunities for her to have shape shifted throughout that series, and really sort of even in that end battle with her and oh my god, I'm blanking on her name, the redhead, our main character,
Carly Morgenthau.
Carly. I almost said Kylie. I was on the right.
Yes.
Yeah, the right track. But of course, I'm gay, and I go right to Kylie Minogue, and I'm like, Kylie's here. No.
Oh, I thought you were going Kardashian.
No.
Oh,
so
God,
Carly's there, and they kind of have like this whole back and forth, like that whole piece where she's whistling to her, and then comes out and is basically Sharon Carter. Like kind of blew my mind a little bit. I'm like, okay, so she's now being able to mimic the sounds that other people can make. Also, like, is Sharon Carter really this good all of a sudden? Also, this version of Sharon Carter is obviously not Sharon Carter. They're trying to tell us that she's the power broker, but why can't that also just be Mystique, basically? So. Somebody did tell me that it was somebody in the room who shot Shelby at that one scene. They made a comment. I was like, okay, but still, like, then like 2 seconds later, Sharon Carter's there, and there's also like a bounty on their heads in 2 seconds. Like, is there a time jump that we're just not aware of here? So I don't know. It's really interesting. I liked the theory that it could be Mystique, and that Mystique was headhunting for the super soldier serum so she could give it to Rogue. And I know that Rogue gets her powers primarily from Captain Marvel, but it'd be cool if she had also got injected with the super soldier serum for the strength and then absorbed like flight or whatever from Captain Marvel. Because I mean, like, Rogue's not going to start flying around and also shooting light beams out of her hands. So like, I don't think it's going to go down the way that it would if she just like happened to touch Carol and was like, I got your powers now, sugar. I think it's going to be something a little bit different. And the MCU does seem to stray a little bit on how they get their powers, but it still works, and it's still like loyal enough to the source material that I'm willing to respect it. So I really thought that it was Mystique after a super soldier serum, which would work, honestly.
So I'm gonna float this out there too about the Captain Marvel and Rogue thing. I'm gonna say this: it's never gonna happen, because I think Captain Marvel is going to be replaced with Fulton. I think when we get the Marvels, it's going to be setting up. Carol's setting up Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel to kind of take the mantle and stuff. So as much as I would like to see her in the leadership role, the way I think they're setting up Phase 4 and 5, they had intentionally, I think, to set it up to where Black Panther was supposed to be the new leader of the Avengers and stuff. I'm pretty sure they're going to switch that a little bit and stuff, but I know it's not going to be Captain Marvel. So I feel we're not going to get that story
flying around the universe, right? Like,
absolutely, yeah. That's her. That's her new thing is going in the universe and saving that. So, Earthbound Hero would probably.
I mean,
be more...
I'm here for Monica Rambeau being the main Captain Marvel, because I love Monica Rambeau as.
So we could get Rogue. We could get Rogue taking Monica's powers.
That's true. I still think it could even happen in the next Captain Marvel, where like Rogue just happens to show up and like kills Carol Danvers, and like that's it. Now it's Monica Rambeau. That'd be a dark way for them to do it, but I mean, anything's possible at this point.
Absolutely,
but that's an interesting theory. I'm not going to dismiss it, because obviously my theory is just a theory. So even though I'm like over here, fingers crossed, waiting for this big battle to happen, and that's what I truly think will happen, I'm totally open to where you're coming from on this side also, because like, in all honesty, like, I know I have this TikTok, but I have no freaking idea. We can only come at it with our own theories from the point of fans, and like,
for me, that's the greatest part of Marvel fandom is the theory, the speculation, the conversations and stuff that all of this sparks. And Marvel knows exactly what they're doing, because they purposely hide these Easter eggs. They purposely cut things the way they're to get the conversation going and stuff. I mean, it's the most clever, genius thing ever. It's it's like all those true crime stories and stuff. Like, how do we get people to to take book club and make it a real thing surrounding movies and stuff. And that's what we're doing. We consume movies and we talk about it and we theorize what's coming. It's genius. It's so I'm here for it. I love the different perspectives and different lenses looking at the same story. So.
And David, that's the point you're often trying to make for us and our fans is we don't create this content. We just consume it and then we speculate. Like we're not really theorizing. Sometimes we can theorize because we have enough of the background knowledge to say, okay, like this is where they're coming from. But most of the time we're just speculating as fans.
Absolutely. And
we may have a little bit more.
And we're happy to admit when we're wrong and stuff. So it happens. It seldomly happens, but it happens. We're wrong sometimes.
Oh yeah. I mean, we all are. I mean, that's just what happens. But
it's just fun. It's just fun speculating.
I mean, it really is. I'm not one of those. I don't know if you guys feel similarly, but I can't stand the people that get really aggressive with what's going to happen in the MCU, and they're like, "No, it's going to be this, and we're going to fight each other. This is the best part." I'm like, honestly, I'm enjoying all of it. Like even the things that I didn't enjoy as much as others, like Defenders, for example, I still watched it. I still enjoyed it to some degree. Like I'm like. Ant-Man and the Wasp was not my favorite because I'm a big Jan Van Dyne fan, and like obviously they changed a lot of that for the film, but it was still like the film was still fine. And like I am not one of those people that likes to get in arguments about what's good and what's not good in the MCU.
Yeah.
This is all it's all quality, honestly. I mean,
that's what we say too. We torture each other on the show sometimes, like just because we all love each other and that's what we do. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we're like, doesn't matter because we still love what the MCU gave us.
And I find myself constantly having to remind fans on the very different social platforms that I do that it's Marvel Studios. They can do what they want with their characters. Period. You don't have ownership of it. People talk about like, oh, they're going to make this person a female. They're going to change. Oh, I mean, I can't tell you how many, how much aggression came out with Falcon and Winter Soldier when Falcon became, a Captain America. People's like, oh, it has to be Bucky. I'm like, well, first of all, he was Captain America in the comic books and stuff. But secondly, it doesn't even matter. It's a Marvel property. They can do what they want with a character, period. That's it. So it's, and there's this hostility and aggression. So yeah, there's that. But I think we do overall a good job of tamping that down and stuff. And I'm not going to throw dirt at other fandoms in the galaxy far, far away with lightsabers, but we do a pretty good job over here in the Marvel world of controlling our fans. So.
Yeah, that's actually psychotic over there.
I didn't say anything.
Amber, if you're listening, we love you.
No. I feel that my co-host on the Mutant Ages is like a rampant Star Wars fan, and I enjoy it when it's on, but I don't like seek it out normally. Like I'm like, if it's on, it's on. I love it. But she's like the same way. She's like,
well, Maddie, if you're listening, we're sorry too. Are you guys ready to move on to our next topic for tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. So the new Marvel show came out this week on Disney Plus called What If. It is an animated series based off of the comics of the same name. Anybody read any of the comics? David, did you read any of the What If comics?
I did not. Yeah, we talked about this in the show. I did not. This was one of the ones I didn't really read. It was when they started coming out with that series. I don't know. I was at a different time in my life and stuff, and so I didn't get the opportunity to read it. But I've had discussions about it and everything else. But nope.
Ryan, have you gotten to read any of the comics, the What If ones?
Oh yeah, I mean, I mostly the X-Men ones. I have a bunch of those.
Okay, I have a few of the What If. I think I have a few with Hulk, a few with Captain America, and a couple with Iron Man. I don't have too many, but I do have a few of them. So the premise is that what if one thing happened that changes everything else? So they did a really great job at the beginning setting up the multiverse. And David and I were having a conversation before you joined us today, Ryan, and we're saying it's not really the MCU anymore. It's not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
Oh, I love that title.
I do too. Yeah.
And you heard it here, Marvel Tribe.
You coined it first.
So basically, they did a great job at the beginning of the first episode of What If, setting up the multiverse and how, one little thing can happen that changes things in, other dimensions. David, do you want to talk about the Watcher a little bit? Do you know anything about the Watcher?
Yeah. So the Watcher, there's this dimensional race of people who decided to actually. So the Watchers became the Watchers, by their own self. They weren't always just the Watchers. We stood back and just kind of let things happen. Their job was to kind of help usher civilization in, and they kind of they went away from that. It's been a while since I read the comic books on the Watchers, but they're a group of guys. We got introduced to them. We saw when Stan Lee was sitting on the big was it an asteroid or was it a moon? Having a conversation with the Watcher, and here they're narrating the stories, and I know they do the same narration for the What If comics, right?
Yeah, it's I think his name is Uatu. Maybe?
Uatu, yes.
Uatu.
So Uatu is played by who's voiced by Jeffrey Wright, who I love. I consume. If you put Jeffrey Wright in front of anything, I will consume it. That's just that dude is amazing. He's so underrated because he should take home Oscars every year. But so I understood him they took a vow to not interfere and to kind of not, if Thanos decided to wipe out half the universe, they're not going to step in and stop it.
They're just watching.
Now, Uatu, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He breaks his vow quite often in the comic books. At least the ones I've read and understood. He goes and warns, the Fantastic Four. He warns. He breaks his vow quite a bit, and he does it low key and try to hide it in secret. But he absolutely doesn't, live up to what his vow is, to just not help, not participate, just to sit and watch and stuff. So I'm kind of curious to see if that's going to happen here. I do know that, this is absolutely canon to what's going on, but if Ryan, if you know more about the Watchers than I do, I think
that was actually a very excellent description of what they do.
Perfect.
So you nailed it.
So there's going to be 10 episodes, I believe, in this season. I don't know if there's going to be multiple seasons,
yes,
but I know there's
going to be multiple seasons.
Okay. So this first season is going to be 10 episodes, and we only know about 5 of them so far, I think, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So the episode that we're going to talk about today was the first one that came out, and it was, what if Captain Carter was the first super soldier?
That's right. And also, I guess, to clarify, this isn't just like random what ifs from the comic books. This is what ifs that fit into the MCU specifically.
Yes.
So this is part of MCU canon, which has been conveniently placed directly after the end of Loki, when all the timelines branched off.
Yes, because these are things that are happening in different timelines because of things that happened on the sacred timeline.
So, and it's also the same actors that are reprising these roles, except
they
for Chris Evans was not Steve Rogers in this. And that was it.
Yeah.
We did talk about how David and I did talk about before we started how this is Chadwick Boseman's final performance in the MCU, so they do have something recorded from him,
which we get to see Wednesday. So you guys
Wednesday, that's episode 2.
So get ready to cry, because I'm gonna cry.
Yes, because that is exactly what David and I were just saying.
Yep.
That episode is, let me pull it up really quick because I think I just had it.
It's there.
It's what would have happened if T'Challa and Peter Quill was picked up by Yondu as a child?
Yep.
So we're going to get to see that. There is some other Black Panther episodes. I know there's one with Killmonger being a hero.
There's one that's based in Wakanda. There's a few.
Like Marvel Zombies, I think.
There is. Yep.
And there's a Loki one.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, so they kind of interweave. For those who don't know, I mean, we may get the different different stories, but at some point during this season, it's going to kind of interweave into the episodes, and the characters will start meshing. The other thing that you guys should also take away with this is that we may get the opportunity to see some of these animated characters live action in the MCU. That's pretty much been what was said, and when I honestly believe we're going to see Captain Carter in live action form, which I'm stoked for, and we should see some appearances from some of the other characters and stuff too. So
I mean, Haley Atwell is married to that character too.
Yes,
she is Captain Carter. I truly believe that at some point within the next 15 years they'll have like another Endgame-esque type of movie where literally everyone in every property of the MCU will just be there, like including Captain America, along with Agent Carter as Captain America, like, for one big battle, probably against like, I don't know, Galactus. I don't know, like who else is there above Kane? It's Galactus, right?
There's some man, there's some big hitters and stuff that we have some dimensional monster villains out there and stuff. So
that's true.
So we could absolutely there's this can go on for past our lifetimes and stuff if the fandom is there. So
no, I want to be able to see it. It can't continue after me. Okay,
when
so
I go, Marvel ends. Yeah,
it has to. When the Marvel tribe is gone, there's no more Marvel. That's just how it has to be. The world can't survive without the both of us. So the episode, it begins when Peggy makes a very crucial decision. And she decides to stay in the main floor where Steve is going to be injected with the serum and transformed, rather than going upstairs to the viewing room like she does in the first Captain America film.
Right.
Yep.
Then what happens, David?
So we get this kind of fast recap of the original Captain America storyline, which I love because it's really about that choice. What is that thing that shifted everything? And it was a very innocuous choice. She was asked if you want, go upstairs. She said no. I think she looked at Steve Pharrell. Oh God, he was so skinny and Pharrell, but looked at him. I mean, great heart, whatnot. But said no, I'm gonna stay down here. We get the Hydra agent, the undercover Hydra agent who planted the bomb, and Peggy notices it. Goes after but it was too late. He already blew up the lab. And started, his shooting spree and shooting everybody. Now, here's where it kind of deviates from the original because Steve Rogers gets shot, doesn't get killed. So Peggy decides, actually, I love the fact that they wanted Howard, Mr. MIT nerd, to jump into the thing. That's how much they wanted a guy to be a super soldier versus a woman. They're like, Howard, you button pushing scientist, jump in there. He's like, no, I'm just a button pusher. She stepped up like she always has, even in the original Captain America. Peggy's a badass. She took off her jacket, jumped in, put the super serum back in there, jumped in the machine, and boom, got transformed. And the only difference is the Hydra agent got taken out by Peggy right then and there versus in the original Captain America where he chases him down and stuff. And then, Peggy, who almost took him out then too, because she had a dead shot on him as he was driving away. And then Captain America, Steve Rogers, jumps, grabs her and takes her out of the what am I looking?
My husband just caught a frog and brought it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Is that Thor? Is that Throg? It is
Throg.
That is Throg.
It's Throg.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
So I do appreciate that they continue the story along with Agent Carter and they deal with the trials that she would face if she had made that decision. So unlike Steve, who immediately is like turned into this mascot that is paraded around the United States of America. They take her to a lab, they take her blood, and they go, how dare you? You've ruined this experiment.
Yep.
And she's like, okay, but you have the super soldier serum in my blood. And they're like, you're a woman, though. And like everything you did was wrong. And like
they treated her like a human pincushion.
Yeah. And it's exactly what would have happened, too.
Yep,
and
exactly.
She looks amazing, by the way. She's like this hot She-Hulk of a Agent Carter now. It's no longer Sharon. We're not talking about Sharon anymore. We're talking about Peggy Carter.
Peggy. I'm not gonna lie, I have a crush on the new version of Peggy. She came out. She's an Amazonian Wonder Woman. I'm like, wow, like okay, I like muscles and stuff. But she's rocking it.
So I think it's great that Peggy was the one to get the serum, because when we think back to like the first Captain America, when they, throw what was it, like a grenade or something into the crowd to see who would grab it, and Steve grabbed it. Well, like, have you ever seen the videos where it's like they slow down the footage and Peggy's
they're both running at it.
Yeah, Peggy's going after it. So it's like, it makes sense. Peggy was the one with the valor and the heart.
It's just that she was just a woman. Just how Isaiah Thomas was just a black guy when they were. I mean, they didn't fit into what the government wanted in their super soldier, and so they got backcasted and stuff, but still used,
experimented on,
absolutely. So I love that they showed that and stuff. It really was like, yeah, you're second class citizens to us. Like, how like you said, how could you? How dare you? This is so wrong and everything else, and it was
fault. Yeah,
it was. And I don't think the guy came around until the president called and was like, "Man, you guys are kicking butt." It's like, yeah, it was my idea this whole time, and yeah, this and that and the other.
Yeah.
So.
Like, Peggy Carter wasn't going to lay down and be pushed around. She was like, no, I'm going to do what I've got to do. So she did take over the Howling Commandos, and Steve was her sidekick, kind of. And they were facing the Red Skull.
Oh, man.
They were. I have to say that I do absolutely love that, like, instead of Bucky falling to his death, it's like Steve Rogers instead, which I'm like, okay, so the parallel we're drawing here now, because like in this it's like very romantic where it's like Sharon going after Steve Rogers, but in the other one it's like Steve and Bucky. I'm like, so are you telling me in the MCU that there is in fact a romantic connection between Bucky and Steve Rogers? Because that's
bromance is very real. Yeah, romances are very real. Yes, absolutely.
Have you not watched them soul gaze?
I know.
So the Red Skull had the same mission that he had before. He was going to use the Tesseract and he was going to destroy and conquer everything. Yeah. And so,
to bring about his champion to destroy this planet and rule it. And yeah, I have to say, so one thing I missed, I had to watch it the second time because someone told me, it's like, where's the Winter Soldier? And I'm like, what do you mean? Bucky's in this? And then I realized Peggy saving his life on that train and him not falling and getting the opportunity to be caught by Hydra. We don't have Winter Soldier anymore. Bucky will never become the Winter Soldier. So that was
not in that timeline. No,
I don't remember who it is in Exiles where they pull this concept of Agent Carter as Captain Carter, because like she had a sidekick in that, and now I gotta Google it, but like in the Exiles run that was pretty recent that she was running around as part of, she had a sidekick that kind of filled that role. Now I gotta look it up. It's like another girl.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I will be sitting here doing this for 20 minutes.
No worries. But yeah,
we did get to see Shuma Gorath.
No, we didn't.
You don't think so? You don't think that's who?
I don't think it was Shuma Gorath. I think it was way too big for Shuma, because that was my first impression as well. I was
the minute I saw the teeth and the way, like I've seen Shuma Gorath comics, how he in Doctor Strange and how he looks and everything else, and it outside of the tentacles, the mini tentacle one, mini angled one, it doesn't fit the mold. He looks more likened to that the creature, which is for most people don't know, it's called the Abyss in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That they fight the opening antagonists and stuff. That you see Drax goes and tries to stab the tentacle thing with the big teeth and stuff. More likened to that, which are both interdimensional beasts. I just really think this is the Hydra beast. It's not Shuma.
Okay. Well, I mean, he does liken it to. He does say it's the symbol of Hydra.
I thought it was an actual Hydra also. That was kind of my impression. By the way, I just looked it up. The Bucky Barnes that's part of the Exiles universe is still Bucky Barnes, except it's a girl. So it's just a girl named Bucky.
Girl named Bucky. Okay.
Yeah. I had to look it up because I was like, I read it because anything Exiles is immediately tied to the X-Men because it's usually involving Blink and other X-Men characters, but now they've kind of expanded it to work with other Marvel characters that will kind of fall into that same category that What If does, where it's like just from all the timelines. So I had read it a while ago, and I'm like, I know she has a sidekick. Who is she?
Yeah,
it's still Bucky.
It's just a girl Bucky. It's a girl Bucky. So, Peggy.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was going to also offer up more evidence. So Shumagroth also has mind control, and and he also, he can inhabit your body, possess you, and make you talk, and everything else to communicate.
And we didn't see any clues like that.
We didn't see any of that. He would absolutely do that to dominate and rule universes and stuff to let people know who he is and stuff. And so that didn't happen and stuff. So it was kind of this. It was the Hydra Beast, this interdimensional monster that the Hydra prays to and stuff, and likened to the the Obelisk in Guardians of the Galaxy, who was also an interdimensional beast. So that's it. That's all I have to offer up there and stuff.
So so the Red Skull ends up he ends up opening up a portal with the Tesseract, and that's where that creature comes out of, and then the creature turns on the Red Skull
and kills him.
And then Peggy falls into the portal too, or I should say, Captain Carter falls into the portal too. And when she comes out with the Tesseract, 70 years later,
Nick Fury's just standing there,
waiting for Nick Fury and Hawkeye. Nick Fury and Hawkeye are standing there, and he's like, "Put that sword away, girl."
Yeah, pretty much.
I love the parallel to that because 70 years later, it's the same when they open that portal and you have Loki coming out with his scepter and stuff, and Nick Fury tells him to drop the scepter and stuff. He tells her to drop the sword. So, I was, oh my god, I wanted that sword to be Excalibur, but there's no way to tie that in to where
I really wish it was too,
where it would make sense.
Happen. Eventually. Eventually we have to deal with the soul sword and explain that.
They do.
So I was going to say, talking about the sword, Ryan, you might have more insight on this. Do you know anything about Captain Britain? We talked about it a little bit because, wasn't Captain Britain there was a choice that had to be made between something of might and then a sword? I can't remember exactly what it was.
It's something like that. Honestly, Excalibur was sort of my lesser favorites of the X-Men runs. The new one I really like, but the original one that they developed those concepts in the 90s, I'm probably going to go back and reread them, which is what we've kind of come to on my podcast, where they're like, Ryan, if you like the new one, you'll probably like the old one. I was like, okay, fine. But it is something like that. Although it's a little bit more confusing because right now Betsy Braddock has become Captain Britain alongside Captain Britain. So there's two of them now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's confusing.
It's okay though, because I love Betsy, so she can be Captain Britain. I love her a lot more than Brian because he's kind of a jerk.
I just thought this was one of those divides because she couldn't be Captain Britain in the MCU because you've already got that going on with X-Men stuff, and Captain America, she's not American. She's British.
Right. I honestly wonder if they'll even explore any of that in the MCU, or if they're going to be this is too close to Disney.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At this point, everything just becomes Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. No, I think they will. I mean, they did drop an Easter egg when they did the time travel back to so Steve was eavesdropping on Peggy, and she mentioned Braddock. In their conversations and stuff. Yeah. So they obviously it could be just an Easter egg and then it just dies. That's just what
I hope not. I would love to see. I mean, I love the Braddock family. They're all crazy and fun. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so, I think that's a wrap on this episode of What If. Anybody have anything else they want to say about the first episode of What If?
Outside of, we got her choice, which, cause there's no more Winter Soldier, and then Red Skull is dead. So he's not guarding the Soul Stone for the rest of his existence and stuff. It's pretty cool. I can't wait to see what other, stuff. Oh, and we got Iron Man, basically.
Oh yeah.
We got the Hydra Smasher.
Right. Yes, the Hydra Smasher. Like, oh my
okay,
God.
so Steve walking out in that suit created by Howard for the first time, I was like, that looks just like what Tony made in that cave.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love that they managed to tie that all together.
Yes.
I was going to ask you both, what is a what if that you would want to see in the MCU that isn't one that they've already announced they're going to be doing? Because there's a lot of different things you could choose. I don't even know what I'm going to choose. I just figure it's a good way to end the episode.
So I want to see. Here's my what if. I actually would love to see them somehow canonize all of Stan Lee's cameos and make him the one above all.
Okay. He's the ultimate watcher.
Yes, the ultimate watcher, the God version of the Marvel universe, and build a storyline around that where and it shows his true power. Like it's done. Like he undoes something that's so ridiculous that we don't see the snap. Like everyone turns to dust, and some of those who read the comics, we know that they eventually they come back and stuff. I want to see something massive, like a world just blows up. And we're how do you come back from that? And then we get the one above all and stuff. And so someone made a choice that causes a cataclysmic. I can't even say the word.
Cataclysmic.
Thank you. Where everyone die. Everyone, every whether it's a mutant hero, whatnot, dies, and we're left with our jaws dropping. And then boom, here comes the one above all. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and rewind and do that over.
I'm gonna say one to irritate our fans. Well, mostly our co-hosts who aren't here tonight. No. What if Peter Parker never got bit?
Oh, well, but I like that what if because then it could be Gwen Stacy instead.
I'm just tired of Spider-Man, so it's fine.
Here's the funny thing.
I want Spidey Pig.
Peter Porker. Okay, so I was not a big Spider-Man fan for a very long time. And the thing that changed my opinion on it was this version of Spider-Man because it was actually done well enough. But for the longest time, both Maddie and I were like, we don't get it. We don't know what's so cool about Spider-Man. Spider-Gwen, I think, is the coolest character in the entire Marvel universe. But I guess I just don't care about this kid from New York otherwise.
That's what I say. I'm like, he's obnoxious.
My favorite Spider-Man is Miles Morales, and it's only because
he's fantastic.
Because of the power base that he has. He is way more powerful than Peter Parker's Spider-Man. He can be invisible. He can electrocute people with plasma ray. I mean, his power base is uncanny, and so he's one of my favorite. Spider-Gwen is also an amazing spider Peter character.
Parker's just boring.
Yeah, he's and that's what it is. It's that story, hey, a nerd who gets picked on all his life, who's poor, who grows up on the wrong side of town, he gets bit and given this gift, and we get to see how he uses it. And
a pig could do his job. So
here's the thing: I think part of the reason why I was annoyed by Spider-Man for so long is that he did a crossover with X-Men, the animated series back in the 90s, and that was my first exposure to Spider-Man. And it was him running up to him because he was going through a mutation from some sort of chemical, or he was sick or something, and he comes to the X-Men, breaks into their house, and then whines at them about how hard it is to mutate, and then he leaves. And I'm like, what a jerk. I guess I had a couple what ifs that it came to mind. The first one that was easy was what if Quicksilver didn't die? Would all the events with WandaVision still happen? Probably not. But here's a good one. What if the people who got snapped were reversed? So the people who got snapped away didn't get snapped, and the people who did stay got snapped instead. How would things play out and bring everybody back?
That's a good one.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a challenging one. I came up to it because I think about what if Thanos didn't snap, and I was like, that's boring.
Man,
there'd be nothing.
I like that because then you have Doctor Strange taking the lead, organizing how do we get everybody back, and we jump into the world of the Mystics, and I love that.
Still be there. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
Sam and Bucky would fill in the shoes for Captain America, probably.
Yep.
Who would their super?
We have Hank Pym, and instead of Tony Stark,
and Peter Parker, they would have them. Yeah. I mean, so in truth, it would still work. Although it does become drastically different, though, if Vision dies and Wanda's just sitting there totally unhinged and like not snapped away, because I think that would, like, I feel like you would go from Thanos being the big bad to Scarlet Witch being the big bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's unstable.
I think you have to wonder if like that's the reason why they snapped her away. They were like, if we keep her as part of this story, it's going to get resolved way too quickly, so we can't keep her or Doctor
She's going to kill everybody.
Like,
well, it's the same reason why they didn't have Thor and Hulk in some of their movies. Like, yeah, if they were here, you know, the scene at the airport would look way different than Civil War. So
I mean, yeah, we run into that issue. Well, not the issue, but we run into that challenge a lot when we're reviewing episodes of X-Men, and like they're like, why isn't Storm here? And I'm like, because if Storm were here in this scene, the rest of the episode would not happen because it would just end. That'd be the end of the story. Storm would come here, like use all of her multiple powers and just end the scenario. So yeah.
That's a good one. I like it, Ryan. All right. Well, we are nearing the end of tonight's episode. So Ryan, why don't you tell us where we can find you?
Everywhere. I'm all over the internet. In fact, if you just Google my name, Ryan Pagella, you will find everything. You'll find my YouTube channel under the same name. And I got my Instagram, my TikTok, my personal one, my Twitter, my own web page. I do photography also. So like literally Google, you'll find that. But if you want to listen to my podcast about the X-Men, which is what I think primarily you'll want to listen to, it's the Mutant Ages. You can find it on iTunes or whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And you can also go to themutantages.com and you get redirected to wherever you want to go from there. But you can find it, and that's the best way to do that.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
I think that's all we've got for the Marvel Tribe. We will join you. I don't even know how to end the show. Shawn always ends it. David, how do we end the show?
Man, we end it this way. We thank our fantastic guest, Ryan. Please go follow all of his socials and stuff. And me and Sam, we will be back for the recap of another episode. And hopefully, Ryan, you have an open invitation to come back anytime you want. And with that, you know, one love, one tribe. We are the Marvel Tribe. So thank you guys. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.